100 days ago, I built this chunk of swamp forest, and then filled it with loads of new animals, with things like fish, shrimp, snails, and even plants to create a dense ecosystem. I even used materials from nature, and simulated natural weather events, to see how the animals react. In the first 100 days we also had babies. To see where this all began, let me take you back to day 1. It all started here, in this mini aquarium. The goal in this tank was to create a miniature swamp forest. At the bottom of the tank, I put in a layer of topsoil around 1 inch deep. The dirt would make a mess if I added water, so to hold the soil down, I've just covered it with sand. To make it look just like a swamp, I placed rocks and wood carefully into the tank. Here I added some easy-grown plants, and the tank was complete. As time passed by, I introduced a wild type of betta fish called Maki. I even got him a female friend, but she doesn't have a name. The pair went on to have babies of their own. It turned out to be a small batch of babies, and only 2 have survived. But it doesn't end there. There's an explosion of upcoming life. The main ecosystem now has 2 tanks either side, to house the babies and the female. One of the exciting things about this project is it's not just a fish that I could find in a store. These fish are called Betta mahachiensis, and it's endangered in the wild. A new generation is born, and all 3 tanks have been built the same to extend the swamp forest. A mixture of floating plants has turned into a lush greenery. Some of the plants have even turned red. They've spent enough time under the light to basically get a suntan. As you can see, there's an oily film building up on the surface. It's a collection of bacteria called biofilm, which is a healthy part of an ecosystem. In the wild, the babies soon leave the bubble nest. They go on their own journeys, leaving their parents behind. But here they've returned, living next to their dad Maki. Maki also shares a tank with the most vibrant cleanup crew. Orange shrimp, the mini scavengers and detritivores. These little guys spend most of the time in the moss. They're either cleaning or sleeping. I don't think they're fussy eaters either. They always end up stealing the fish food. I'm adding 6 red shrimp into the baby tank. Not all betta fish get on with shrimp. One of them was straight out to have a look. Oh, he's gone straight back to hiding under the leaf. The bigger of the 2 was a bit more curious. He wanted to have a closer look. I think he got a bit too close. The shrimp chased him off. Both of the shrimp are the same species, but I decided to keep them apart, because when breeding the colours can be mixed. I don't like cleaning the glass, but these fish do. It's called an 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤𝐞 catfish. This is where they spend most of their time. Assassin snails. These little predators are in here as part of a cleanup crew. So far, the only thing I've seen them assassinate is themselves. It looks like they get bored and use leaves as parachutes, or they are just extremely clumsy. There's different types of snails in each tank, and they all play a vital role within the ecosystem, cleaning algae and recycling the waste with the shrimp. The babies are growing rapidly and building their own little characters. The electric blue colour is a sign of a maturing male. It seems like the colours appeared overnight, and with age the males will want their own territory. I've had these 2 in the same tank since they were born. It's a tough decision which one to keep in this tank. I watch over them closely, observing the behaviours. They seem to be well aware of their surroundings and keep an eye on the creatures close by. It's time for this little one to go into the new temporary setup. I've chosen the bigger, more dominant of the 2. I've decided to call him Goku, just because I like the character Goku. There's movement up above the surface, even though they're above the water. These are flightless fruit flies. Their only option is to climb onto the glass and make an escape. It seems they can crawl across the surface, but there's a shadow just below, and become a tasty little treat. Better fish are insectivores. In the wild, wood naturally falls into the water. I'm adding these small pieces of catappa bark. As the water soaks in the released tannins, turning the water brown like a cup of tea, making the fish feel safe and help prevent infections. Bloodworms are a high protein source for the fish. These type of foods are especially good at times when getting fish in breeding condition. This white spot here is called an ovipositor, where the eggs are released from. The fish are divided by a piece of card, so they can't see each other all the time. I've decided to breed them again, but this time the setup is totally different. Starting with almond leaves to add tannins to the water, and a heater for the fish. Mackie was the first in, and I gave him a chance to settle down. Later followed by the female. She now looks a completely different colour, with vertical stripes on her side. These invite the males in for breeding. The dance begins, they're both trying to impress each other. Mackie's flashing around in excitement. He knows it's time to breed and starts building his bubble nest. If he is successful, this is where it's going to hold the eggs. When the female was released, he tried to guide her back to the bubble nest. After some time, the female slowly comes closer, doing a gentle wave in the water. Mackie's flaring his gills before they both attempt to embrace. They're circling each other until they find the correct position. Until Mackie finds a space and wraps his head around and tightly squeezes. As he released his grip, the first egg fell. As he circles around to look for more, the female's gone stiff, laying there motionless. This is what happens while she releases eggs. They did it time and time again. What looked to be between 10 and 20 eggs per time was much more than the first time breeding. And then it exploded even more. All of the eggs were picked up and placed into the bubble nest. The female is now being taken out to return home. I've left the lights off so she can relax. Over the next 24 hours, her eggs are transforming into little babies. Mackie's job was to keep them all together and make sure none of them fall. The next day, there was babies bouncing everywhere. At this point, they're still living off the oak sacks. Day 2, they were still in the bubble nest. By day 3, they're now free swimming. I fed them vinegar eels and infusoria, which is these tiny microorganisms. Here's a pen tip for a size comparison. Right now there's more than 50 babies. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button and leave comments below with your coolest video ideas. But just so you know, the next one won't be fish.